mean I can't be in the review? The review contains butterflies!
Look, I know. I appreciate that fact, and you probably would be great as a commentator, but it just wouldn't fit, and this is my last episode before I have to do a twofer.
Yeah, speaking about that, don't you think this fame and fortune thing is going to your head?
Yes, I know, but I want to be a successful YouTube critic. And besides, you're a supervillain. You do unethical things all the time.
I mean, yeah, but at least I know who I am. You're a completely different person at this point. Can't you see that?
What are you talking about? I am still the good, honest person I was when I started this adventure and would never bow to the corporations out there.
Oh, really? And how do you justify the new opening and the new avatar, huh? Be honest, you're just trying to avoid copyright claims.
Yeah, but I gotta learn how to play ball, otherwise I'll never make it in this industry. And besides, my Patreon's going strong with all of its 5 patrons.
A monarch would never bow so easily. Face it, a butterfly cannot change its colors, and neither can you.
You know what, man? I can't believe I'm saying this, but bug out. This is not your problem. Get off my back. I have a review to do. End of conversation.
Honey, please promise me you're not going to start arching him now.
No, we're just going to leave a bunch of caterpillars in a swimming pool. How dare he? I haven't changed. Anyway, hello friends, and welcome to our next episode of Blake 7, episode 11, Bounty. So we open on Callie sneaking around in the stealthiest of camouflages, a giant leopard print fake fur coat. This is definitely going to end up in the end of season fashion show. But the reason that she and Blake are sneaking around is because there are stormtroopers roaming the forest, guarding somebody. And it looks like they're guarding Betsy from Doctor Who. Terry, just stop calling in favors from Doctor Who already! But as they're roaming through the forest, they inadvertently trip a sensor, and the commander is informed, who does not seem terribly amused.
I think we've got some intruders.
Are you sure?
Electronic surveillance is usually reliable.
Very reliable, yes. Last time it was a local rodent digging a hole under one of your listening devices. We spent 2 hours chasing our tails on that occasion.
That wasn't our fault.
I'm not entirely sure whose fault it is then, but the fact that there are intruders that close to wherever they're guarding is enough to elicit a red alert response. By Grapthar's hammer, who are they protecting? Servalon herself? No, but I do find myself asking if there's a light on at the Frankenstein's place. We finally find out who's in the car. This is Tice, and this is ex-President Zarkov. The two of them have a somewhat antagonistic relationship. Tice making fun of the fact that Zarkov is friends with the base commander for the stormtroopers who are protecting him at this facility. Despite the fact the base commander finds every opportunity possible to mock Zarkov as an ex-president. In spite of that, Zarkov is the one that Blake and Callie are here for. Meanwhile, back up on Liberator, they've detected a spaceship, but can't identify if it's Federation or civilian, not helped by the fact they're not answering hails. So after a brief discussion, they agree to investigate. It could be a trap. It's not a very good one then. We're already suspicious of it. The test is not whether you're suspicious, but whether you get caught. So the Liberator breaks orbit and goes to investigate. Once they get a little closer, they start receiving a garbled general distress call. And without any further evidence of whether they're legitimate or not, Gan offers to go and investigate. Yes, keep sending the man who can't defend himself to investigate things! This is a great plan! After a brief time skip, during which Gan has been over on the spaceship, we find out that yes, they are in need of assistance, and he's just coming over to grab some supplies. So Jenna and Avon decide to teleport him up, but only after they do does Zen inform Villa that it appears that was not actually Gan, but a recording manipulated to sound like him. A fact that both Jenna and Avon seem to be aware of at this point. But Villa can't find out what's going on since Zen does not have sensors in the teleporter room and he's going to have to make a personal investigation, according to Zen. Personal investigation. The next time Avon wants to make a personal investigation of how you work, she'll make a personal point of handing him the implements. Personally. Yes! Villa be awesome! Yes! However, in the B-plot, surprisingly enough, Blake has gone into the castle and has decided to look around and discovers that it's kind of the Antiques Roadshow in space. It becomes very clear during the conversation he has with Blake that Zarkov has lost his will to live and has become obsessed with the idea of the supremacy of civilization as an ideal to strive for. It turns out that he's under the impression that Blake is an assassin sent here to kill him, the most civilized form of murder. Though we can see Zarkov is not as much of a fool as he seems, over the course of the conversation subtly managing to palm a revolver and proceeding to get Blake at gunpoint without Blake ever questioning it. Fortunately for Blake, the gun appears to be empty. Unfortunately for us, this gives Zarkov an opportunity to monologue about how tortured he is, how he's the only one who understands what civilization really is. For the love of all that is holy, please stop saying the word civilization. Callie finally joins them, and we find out what it is that's going on. Zarkov was the president of the planet Lindor, and had been urged to join an alliance with the Aranon against the Federation. But, not wanting to be a tyrannical dictator, he put it to a public vote, and was utterly defeated in the polls. Seeing this as a rejection by his people, he went into self-imposed exile under the protection of the very Federation he strove to avoid joining as part of their alliance. Tice serves as his personal bodyguard. The reason Blake and Callie have come is because once Zarkov left, the government fell into complete and utter chaos. Blake's hoping that he will return and help unite his people, also revealing that the election was fixed by the Federation in order to destabilize the government. I'm not entirely sure how they had that much political power when they weren't already running the show, but okay. Despite Zarkov's protests, Blake has decided that the two of them are going to come whether they like it or not. Something that Tice is not opposed to, but it seems that might be a little problematic since there doesn't appear to be anybody on the Liberator anymore. That's a little worrying. But Blake has had it up to here with Zarkov refusing to come and do the right thing, proceeding to destroy parts of the collection until he finally concedes defeat, since he can't bear to see this form of destruction to the civilization he's come to worship. In the midst of a high-speed car chase, a sentence I never thought I would say in the course of doing this show, Blake is finally teleported back up to the Liberator, despite the fact that it seems no one is still there. This is definitely starting to indicate something's gone horribly wrong. Blake eventually finds Jenna, who seems completely grief-stricken over the fact the crew are all dead, though this turns out to only be a ruse to allow her to escape from a knockout gas attack used to subdue Blake. It seems that Jenna's turned traitor. Awakening later to find himself bound, Blake sums up the situation very well. That was stupid. None of us showed conspicuous intelligence on this occasion. The people responsible for Blake and his crew being captured are the Amagons, a group of pirates, raiders, and thieves who intend on selling Blake and his crew to the Federation for the bounty on their heads. Jenna changed sides as soon as they gained control of the ship. Their leader's name is Tarvin, and he's fitted the crew with explosive collars that will decapitate them if they get too rowdy, making attempting escape very, very problematic. He's also planning on selling Zarkov to anyone that'll buy him, though whether that's the Federation or someone else is a little unclear. And we get to see why Zen is both an asset to the crew, but also a hindrance at times. Computer, how long until we rendezvous with the Federation ships?
2 hours and 17 minutes.
Though he's essential to the crew, Zen is ultimately just a computer and will take orders from anyone. In the plus column, Villa's attempting to deactivate everyone's explosive collars, meaning that they won't just get their heads blown off if they have to take aggressive actions later. And Avon was resourceful enough to stow away a multi-tool so he can attempt to pick the lock. Meanwhile, the plot begins to thicken as Jenna tries to convince Tarvin it's not worth turning over the ship and the crew to the Federation, since the Federation will only pay him 13 million credits, while the Liberator has 300 million credits on board. Now, it was never explicitly said how much they found in Cygnus Alpha, but I have a sneaking suspicion Jenna's stretching the truth just a little bit here. And Tarvin is interested enough to send Jenna under guard to go bring him proof. And twist on top of twist, it seems that Jenna hasn't actually turned traitor, and was using this as an excuse to get the drop on one of Tarvin's guards. Meanwhile, Zarkov is willing to accept the fact that he is bound to be a prisoner forever, but Tice insists that he has to stand up for himself again, or else forever be doomed to be the weak puppet that he is now. Jenna pretends to be checking in on the prisoners, and it seems that yes, she hasn't turned traitor, since she doesn't reveal that they've all removed their bindings and are now free to move around if they want to. And manages to trick away the guard looking over Blake and his crew and take him out as well. Jenna Stennis, the original Black Widow. Meanwhile, Blake manages to use one of the explosive collars to take out the guards. So did Tarvin only bring over, like, 3 guards? Because that just seems like poor planning on his part. Okay, my mistake. There were 4 stuntmen who were playing guards. But Jenna helps take out another guard. Damn, girl, MVP for the win. And they go to confront Tarvin on the bridge. So Tice manages to get Tarvin at gunpoint, only for him to manage to disarm her, and leave it up to Zarkov to decide whether to kill him or risk Tice dying by exploding collar. And we find out here that Tice is actually Tarvin's daughter, which explains part of why she's been so angry at him the entire episode, for refusing to stand up to evil and be the hero that she knows he is as her father. And in the end ends up doing the right thing, putting Tarvin out of our misery. With his courage restored, Zarkov returns to his homeworld to be the leader his people deserves, and we round out the episode. Wow, a 10-minute review. Well, I guess when most of your episode is fight scene and drama, that's not hard to do. Well, let's talk about the things that I really liked about this episode. As a character, Zarkov isn't too bad. I find him a little bit frustrating for his tendency to soliloquize, but I recognize that was probably Terry Nation looking to cut some corners and fill up the episode with dialogue. I also like the fact that he's more of a sympathetic kind of useless than you usually see. The dynamic between him and Tice throughout the episode is interesting, but honestly, she was kind of only there as character motivation for the end of the episode. Something I'll come back to later in Season 2, but it's interesting to see them laying the groundwork for it here, is the fact that Gan doesn't seem to have a very high sense of his own worth amongst the crew. Part of why he volunteers to go over to the other ship is because if they have to blow it up, they'll only be killing him instead of somebody more useful to the mission. And now that we've got the good out of the way, I guess it's time we address the bad. Okay, here goes. Jenna's betrayal, while interesting, did kind of seem a little too obvious, and they didn't really play with it as long as I would have liked. A little bit more of the episode where we didn't see her being as badass, but where she seemed she'd actually turned traitor, would have been nice. Tarvin and the Amagons as a race seem kind of really badly done. I get that we're using Arabic stereotypes as a shorthand way to do some world building, but, you know, maybe we could have not made the racial stereotypes the bad guys for the episode. All in all, I definitely have to agree with one of my commenters who observed that this really should have just been cut from the roster of episodes and left some room to help develop some of the better episodes in the series into truly greats. Though I'm sorry, I still don't think there's any way you could have made Mission to Destiny actually watchable. But with that being said, on to our next episode. Episode 12, Devil's Dance, and Episode 13, Orak. What can you expect? For me to go frickin' insane. I can't believe I agreed to make that deal with the YouTube algorithm. But I guess it's my only way to fame and fortune. Bring on the madness, baby. Guys, I hope you're enjoying the series so far, and, you know, if you want to check out more episodes, they are freely available on YouTube. And hey, who knows, maybe you'll see something I didn't see in an episode, in which case, feel free to discuss it in the comments. And, you know, if you're gonna be stopping by my comments anyway, why don't you go ahead and click that like and subscribe button. Or if you want to be extra special awesome, feel free to stop by my Patreon page. I make a lot of videos on other stuff as well as showing off my awesome cosplay. But at the end of the day, I hope you had fun, and I'll see you on the next episode of Blake 7. By the way, all requisite links will be in the description below.